This is going to be a video all about Rise Splinter. He has several moments of focus throughout the series, and the writers explore why he is the way he is. His connection to the Hamato family was an important part of the series. According to fans, Splinter's got a crazy arc, and he's an incredibly compelling character. I'm going to be honest, I don't like Rise Splinter. He is by far my least favorite character in the series. I don't like how much time the story spends praising Splinter for things he didn't do, and how little time the story spends critiquing his character. And overall, I don't think his character is properly addressed by the series. The Fast and the Furious was probably the first episode where Splinter genuinely irritated me, as opposed to just rubbing me the wrong way. Splinter steals Donnie's latest invention, his tank, one that he was so proud of and so excited to show off, for an irresponsible joyride around the city. Instead of asking Donnie, or even just talking to him, what does this man do? Steal it. Then, he gets in a car with a random, suspicious-looking dude whom he's never met before, someone who ends up being one of the turtles' enemies.
Turtles? Red, blue, orange, purple?
Oh, you know their names!
You know, part of me has always wondered if Splinter actually remembered their names. He makes trouble for the turtles and initiates a car chase around town. The worst part is that the entire time, the turtles think Splinter is genuinely in trouble and are doing their best to save him from meat sweats. But in reality, Splinter works with this guy entirely of his own volition. Meat Sweats, a literal villain in the series, actually comments on how awful of a person Splinter is.
You took the tank from your son? Well, I've done some awful things in my life, but you're an animal.
I am not taking the fall for this.
You are disgusting!
Look how determined this guy is to avoid the consequences of his own actions. Shameful. He doesn't even take offense or try to deny what Meat Sweats is saying. There is absolutely no trace of reflection behind those eyes. And Splinter, instead of giving it up and deciding this isn't worth it, digs his heels in.
Purple is a monster!
He will fry my TV so all I get is educational shows!
Imagine calling your own son a monster. Imagine going to all these lengths, avoiding a punishment you'd give a prepubescent kid, except this guy is not a prepubescent kid, he's an old man. This kind of person is absolutely not compelling to watch, especially not when his actions consistently hurt the people around him. Even when the turtles explain to Splinter that Meat Sweats is dangerous and just wants to eat him, Splinter still chooses to run away with him. He doubles down.
Yeah, hand over the fugitive.
Don't snitch me out, bro!
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
One thing is clear, his kids are on the bottom of his list of priorities. If Splinter actually prioritized them, we wouldn't be here! Then, Meat Sweats literally starts attacking the gang. Not that Splinter cares, or he would have stopped the truck. A villain starts attacking his sons, who only got involved to save Splinter, and Splinter doesn't care. Meat Sweats has to toss Splinter out, leaving him high and dry for this episode to be over. What really gets me is the almost role reversal these two seem to take on. Splinter acts like a misbehaving, reckless child, while Donnie is the scolding parent. Only Splinter is a middle-aged man, and Donnie is 14. This is an awful, awful dynamic, and it doesn't get better in subsequent episodes. Turtledega Nights, The Ballad of Ratman, was the first episode that was able to evoke emotion out of me. Pity for Donnie. The episode starts with Splinter having a dream reliving his past, when he was more famous and well-known. It then cuts to the turtles interrupting him before he yells at them to get out. I could forgive this episode if it was about the turtles disrespecting Splinter for no reason and then Splinter wanting more respect, but by starting the episode off with his dream reliving his glory days and then him commenting on his trophy, it shows that Splinter is more focused on obtaining recognition and respect from being Lujitsu rather than respect from his children. So already this is a motive I can't quite get behind. He then gets the idea to enter a demolition derby in an attempt to reclaim some of his previous glory. In a despicable fashion, he sidles up to Donnie and Mikey and tries buttering them up in an attempt to get them to agree with what he wants from them. In their conversation, Donnie reveals something really sad.
When was the last time we did something together?
278 days ago, you said, "Hi, Purple," to Raph.
It has been almost a year since Splinter has paid attention to Donnie. Are you kidding me? Does Splinter actually see Donnie as a person or something he can get something from? I mean, why now approach Donnie? When Splinter asks to spend quality time with them, Donnie reminds Mikey to play it cool, while Mikey remarks that he always falls for this. This indicates that this has happened before. This is not the first time Splinter has pretended to want to spend time with them. Then, Splinter lies about the nature of the competition, saying that it was a father-son car fair rather than a demolition derby, two very different things. This instantly gets Donnie on board. Seriously, he's super excited. I don't think I've ever seen him this excited. Donnie also makes it incredibly clear that he really cares about this tank and does not want it damaged, yet Splinter still carries on with this awful plan.
Excellent work, son. This is going to be a glory-filled night. You have made me very happy.
Mikey, I think he was about to say proud. Oh, it felt amazing. I'm gonna chase this feeling.
Donnie is acting like Splinter has never praised him before. Do I need to explain how sad this is?
You tricked us into coming here. You said you wanted to spend time with us. You lied!
This is the first time I've ever felt sorry for Donnie. Up until this point, I don't think I've ever seen him this expressive in the show.
Donatello?
Oh, so you do know his name. Look, even Mikey's surprised. Splinter replies that he lied about the event, but never lied about wanting to spend time with Donnie. But if that's the case, then why didn't he try to do so earlier before this opportunity came up? Donnie even mentions afterward that if he had just asked to hang out, he would have said yes, openly admitting that he likes to spend time with Splinter. It's not like Donnie's putting on any fronts here, pretending to dislike Splinter or something. He's being perfectly honest. Splinter then says he wakes up as a tiny rat man every day and wanted glory back in his life before instructing them to take him home. They couldn't have ended it here, could they?
Dad, you're awesome, okay? You're the guy who introduced us to Lujitsu. If winning this means that much to you, then hit that button, Daddy-o!
They make Donnie concede, and they make Donnie validate Splinter to make him feel better. Why? Just why? Splinter gets rewarded for his lying, his deception, and his manipulation, and this just doesn't sit well with me. Another thing to note regarding Splinter and Donnie is that Donnie is horrified at the implication that he is becoming like his father. This isn't season 2, by the way, not in the beginning of the show. Season 2, the final season of the series. Am I really supposed to believe these two have a good relationship? Donnie's relationship with Splinter in general is a bit disconcerting, because even when Donnie is not talking to Splinter at all, you can still see the effects that Splinter's parenting had on Donnie. For one thing, this guy is way too happy to be receiving praise from whomever he deems a parental-aged adult. Like, even from people he just meets and or are clearly suspicious individuals. He holds the words of people like Big Mama, this suspicious old lady, and Karai, whom he barely knows, in such high regard.
This'll teach you to compliment my work and give me my first positive reinforcement from a parent-aged adult ever!
Most of the time it's played for laughs, but it's really hard to find it funny when we know that Donnie's relationship with Splinter is clearly something that is shown to have affected him. When we know that Splinter's ways bother Donnie, when we know that this lack of attention and praise from Splinter is part of his insecurity. Honestly, most of the turtles display a strange attachment to the adult figures in their life. Not that the show has any interest in exploring why that is, or acknowledging that Splinter may have had a hand in this. In the Evil League of Mutants, the turtles actually want to train and get stronger. Naturally, they go to Splinter, but Splinter just wants them to watch more Lujitsu. The turtles protest, saying they need real training. Splinter, with his ego wounded, doubles down instead of trying to have a mature conversation with them. They get mad, obviously, say some hurtful things, but before they can leave, Splinter grounds them. Splinter definitely escalated the situation by not keeping his cool and mocking the turtles. The writers try to make me feel bad for Splinter, but what the turtles were saying was valid. If Splinter had maybe explained the purpose of this training, that could have helped, but he didn't. Regarding what the turtle said, obviously it was hurtful and maybe they could have worded it nicely, but the only reason it hurt Splinter was because he wasn't secure in himself, and that's not really the turtle's problem. Splinter is clearly a slave to his own feelings, which I'd understand if he were a teenager, the same age as the turtles, but he's not, and at this point, it's just sad. So the turtles, unhappy with Splinter's decision, sneak out anyway, and Donnie claims he has everything taken care of. We then cut to a shot at the lair, where Donnie is implied to have put together poorly stitched dummy versions of the turtles. Splinter is shown to pause, fully turn and look. It wasn't like he just took a glance, my man did a full body turn, and then he nods and walks away. Splinter is unable to tell his sons apart from poorly stitched together dummies. Father of the Year, everyone. The episode, of course, makes the turtles in the wrong and show that actually, Splinter was right all along to keep putting them through Lujitsu videos. Never mind that the turtles had very legitimate criticisms in the very beginning of the episode. Splinter also attempts to apologize at the end of the episode, but it's made less impactful for a couple of reasons. For starters, I don't really have a clear idea of what made Splinter come to the conclusion that he had made a mistake. Last time we cut to him, he seemed satisfied that his sons were supposedly grounded in the lair, not regretful or reflective of his behavior at all. Secondly, the show doesn't even let Splinter fully apologize. Leo interrupts Splinter in favor of focusing on the revelation that Lujitsu is their biological parent. In late fee, the whole premise of the episode is Splinter leveraging his hugs just so he can get his sons to return a DVD at the video store. When the errand inadvertently turns dangerous and life-threatening, these guys don't give up either. Not once do they give up and go home, even though this is arguably not worth the hassle. They are determined to get that hug from Splinter. And by the end of the episode, they do, and everyone looks way too happy, which tells me that hugs are rare in this household, even though the turtles seem to love them. In general, using hugs and affection as currency to get your own kids to do something for you is just scummy behavior. Aw man, a Splinter and Leo episode! In the beginning of the episode, they really ham up Leo's general nonchalance at the whole Shredder situation, like way more than usual, so we can have some kind of conflict. What irritated me was that of all people, Splinter took issue with Leo's behavior. Splinter smacks Leo for taking things too lightly, but the thing is he's only doing what Splinter would do. Splinter never takes things seriously.
I wish I had spent more time with my TV. And maybe paid more attention to my grandpa's stories about how to defeat the Shredder.
This guy is fucking stupid!
Yeah, if only you had. Maybe then we wouldn't be in this mess. Splinter is just as, if not more, irresponsible than Leo, and has no room to talk. What kills me is that he seems to have zero self-awareness regarding this. Splinter then talks about how he used to be romantically involved with Big Mama before she tricked him, kidnapped him, and made him fight in the Battle Nexus. Big Mama has purple skin, has openly hacked up a web, and has eaten a fly in front of you. But it's okay, I'm sure she's totally normal and human. Oh my gosh, she's not human! This whole scene is played out as a joke, so I just can't take this super seriously.
I knew I should have brought Purple.
You didn't even want to come! Leo had to make you, you spineless coward!
Oh, why did I ever trust you to handle this? My other sons would have taken this seriously.
You didn't trust him! That was the whole point of the episode! This line would have hit more if Splinter did trust him, but Splinter has been doubting Leo since the start of the episode! Also, the joke is that in the next shot, the turtles are arguably not taking the situation seriously because instead of facing their opponent properly, they end up tickling him. So, Splinter's also wrong on this front. It's almost hilarious at how the Splinter doesn't seem to know, understand, or even see his children at all. A couple episodes later, we get more flashbacks to Splinter in his Lujitsu era. Last time we learned that he was betrayed and kidnapped by Big Mama to fight in the Battle Nexus. I remember in a flashback that when Baron Draxon first saw Lujitsu, Lujitsu was in his prime, fighting everybody and raring to go. But when we see him in this episode, he's shown to have given up fighting altogether.
If Big Mama sent you, I have not changed my mind. No more fighting. I have sworn off violence.
Since when? No, seriously, what prompted this change? Splinter is consistently shown as a bad person in the show, and his character lacks clear progression. This is something random I've noticed while watching the series, but guys, why is Splinter nicer to everyone else besides his own kids? In Always Be Brownies, he's so nice to April, giving her advice, even helping her sell cookies when April is failing majorly at it. I've never seen Splinter act this way with his own children. This episode isn't the only time when he displays this strange favoritism. In Fists of Fury, the episode starts with Splinter acting like an attention hog and then smacking his kids for not listening or showing interest in his bragging. Splinter wants someone to go with him to inspect his Jiu-Jitsu dojos that he has clearly always had and is just mentioning this late into the series, despite no one mentioning it once earlier. His kids are so eager to go with him and they all start fighting for the chance to go. Despite this, Splinter quite readily welcomes April along to go with him, instead of one of the turtles. Not 1 ounce of protest from the sky. Well then, I'm starting to think that Splinter likes April more than his sons, but that couldn't possibly be the case. This episode tries to make me believe that Splinter cares about honor and respect by putting Splinter in contrast with this Christoph von Bradford guy, Splinter's rival who's been trashing Splinter's dojos. But honestly, it falls flat for me, especially knowing how much of a scumbag Splinter really is. Anyway, there's this talk of the 7 Deadly Vipers move, Jiu-Jitsu's attack that has been built up throughout the episode as this legendary thing that's not even shown in the movies because the mere mention of it makes people surrender. What's interesting is that the turtles, despite having been taught by Jiu-Jitsu himself for years, have never been taught this move. I'm not upset by this decision itself. There's probably a bunch of in-universe explanations one could come up with for this. What bugs me is that he teaches April this move. April before any of the other turtles. Not when the fate of the world is at stake and she's the only one who can do this, but to win a match to save the dojos. His kids are relegated to sitting on the sidelines watching this match like dogs begging for scraps, hoping they can at least see the move. Splinter, why don't you just teach the move to everyone if they all want to learn it that badly? But nope, only April gets this privilege for some reason. And only April gets to fight against the rival dojo. I mean, I feel like they could have found some way to get the turtles involved, especially when the mutant stuff starts coming out, because at that point they have no reason to hide any involvement that they have with mutants. But no, like I said, it's just April, it's just Splinter. What a cute father-daughter bonding episode, especially when the turtles barely get nice moments with Splinter like this themselves. And it's not just April who gets this strange treatment. On top of everything else that went down in the Always Be Brownies episode, Splinter starts encouraging that random foot recruit of all people, even though she was the one who orchestrated his capture? Splinter, for some reason, plays an instrumental role in the foot recruit's change of heart, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why Splinter takes the initiative to reach out to this poor, lost young soul who is actively attacking him and his entire family. It just doesn't seem like something Splinter would do, given that he never bothers extending the same grace or kindness towards his own children, or anyone really. His behavior is just too inconsistent here. In E-Turtle Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, we get a glimpse into Splinter's mind, literally, as the turtles enter it, and we learn more about why he is the way he is, and why he does things the way he does. We get to see him sad as a kid, we get to see him cry as his mother leaves him in the name of duty, and as they have Raph vocalize, it's probably supposed to explain why he's so dismissive of his clan. Me personally, after spending 2 seasons exploring how much of a jerk Splinter is, felt nothing watching this scene. Actually, that's not true. I laughed when I saw the scene because it was so hilariously constructed. Everything felt so over-dramatized. Every time this woman talks, her lip is trembling obnoxiously, the cherry petals falling is an obvious attempt at sad ambiance, the dialogue is so unnatural, it all feels so deliberate. This doesn't feel like an organic moment at all. Yeah, this line is not the banger they sure thought it would be. At least not for me. It just didn't hit at all. The line delivery here was too off for me, and it felt like it was trying way too hard to tug at your heartstrings, rather than being an authentic moment for the characters. It felt even more manipulative to have Raph sitting right there, watching all of this unfold, having to watch his dad cry, and feel bad for him, and comfort him, instead of letting the guy be mad or annoyed with Splinter. Explaining Splinter's actions is fine, but it doesn't make Splinter any less of a bad or incompetent person. It doesn't make up for how little he grows and develops as a character throughout the series. Shreddy or not is like the nail in the coffin for me. The gang is trying to stop Shredder and they end up accidentally bringing Karai back to their realm. Karai is their ancestor who sealed Shredder away in the Twilight Realm, a realm that we only learned existed in this finale and at no other point in the show. It's fitting that only now we get a lore dump about Shredder's origins, considering that these idiots never once cared prior to this moment. After all, why would a show want to focus on the interesting parts of the plot? Anyway, Karai is at first shocked and appalled that Splinter never trained them in the Hamato Ninpo, which according to Karai is supposed to be traditional, which is funny because like the stuff about the Twilight Realm and Shredder's origins, I don't think the concept of Hamato Ninpo was ever talked about prior to these last few episodes. Karai is dismayed by this revelation, as she should be, because it means that Splinter failed in his duties as head of the clan and now Shredder is free to terrorize more people. So even though by all accounts Splinter has failed in what he has been tasked to do, after seeing the boys act like attention-seeking 5-year-olds clamoring to spend time with her, Karai somehow concludes that Splinter has taught the turtles the importance of family.
You have taught them many other things, like the importance of family. From where I sit, Yoshi, you have made the clan proud.
Hey Karai, do you want to know why these kids wanted your attention so badly? Do you want to know why Donnie says,
Yes, the approval of a parental figure I've so craved!
to your face? Do you want to know why Leo wants you to read from a children's book he wrote? Do you want to know why Raph starts doing push-ups for no other reason in your vicinity but to show off in front of you? Do you want to know why Mikey makes a childish illustration of his family for you, stating that it captures their togetherness? It's not because Splinter taught them what family was. Because maybe if Splinter taught them what family was, they'd be a little bit more secure in their basic needs, and then they could actually focus their mental faculties in eliminating this world-ending threat and perhaps coming up with some sort of strategy to deal with the impending doom. Do you want to know why they do all of this instead, Karai? It's because Splinter deprived them of this feeling so much that they start seeking other sources anywhere else just to get the approval they lacked and the validation and love that Splinter was not giving them and, in fact, was actively withholding from them. Yeah, depression doesn't explain or justify his sleazy behavior. I feel like there's a difference between being sad and having no energy to keep going through life versus actively toying with the feelings of those who are in your care just for your own personal gain. But that's just me. The blame so clearly lies on Splinter's shoulders and no one calls him out for it. In fact, we have to actively take time out of the finale, time that could have been spent focusing on the turtles, you know, the main protagonist, but instead is wasted on this pathetic excuse for a person. Skip to the final battle and it's time for the final blow. Only now we have to pause and waste time addressing Splinter's feelings.
Oh no, it is not enough. I have failed.
No, Dad, we can do this! You may not have taught us everything,
But you did teach us the most important thing.
be there for each other!
Remember what your mom said to you that day in the park? You are not alone!
Instead of this being a triumphant moment for the characters where they remain steadfast and true, Splinter is still on the verge of giving up. This man didn't grow or change in a satisfying way at all. It takes his kids having to take the time to comfort Splinter when he thinks he's failed in order for him to get anywhere. It's never allowed to be the other way around, with Splinter encouraging the turtles and actually acting like a rational adult.
Stop fucking crying, bitch! Where? I don't wanna fucking hear it!
Even Splinter's dead mom has to come back to give him the W and shout the battle cry, "Hot soup," Splinter coined. Splinter and Rise can pretend this is cool all they want. I won't say anything. As for the Rise movie, it didn't really do anything in terms of changing my opinion on Splinter given his limited screen time, which was fine. I'm glad Splinter wasn't here much, but it was rich of him to tell Leo to listen to his team when he never did the same and listened to his family. Then he acts surprised when Leo turns out the same way. Leo is textbook younger Lujitsu, and it's hilarious that Splinter lacks all self-awareness and has no reflection skills in his old age. Say you had a series with a group of people who were just awful to each other. They're mean, rude, nasty, and don't act like friends at all. No one apologizes to each other for what they did, and the episodes play out like this for the rest of the series. Then, at the very end, they're able to defeat the bad guy and save the day because of their deep and everlasting friendship. Doesn't make much sense, does it? But this is exactly what Rise feels like to me. Literally all of the flaws I listed above, I would not care had the story not tried to get me to take their dynamic seriously. I could have ignored everything, chalked it all up to a joke, and then moved on. But with the sudden tonal shift, I now retroactively look at the series with the same serious tone, and therein come all my issues. There is definitely a way to blend comedic and serious elements, but this was just not it. It made me confused on how I was supposed to treat Splinter's character, because for so long the joke was about how awful of a parent and person he was. But now the series is praising him for being a good parent? Ah yes, the same person who ignores his kids from time to time because he's like that is getting praised for being a good parent. A writer for Rise admits that Raph had to frequently step in and cover for Splinter when the boys were younger, despite being only 1 to 2 years older than his brothers at best. But no, my bad. This was clearly Splinter teaching the turtles about the importance of family by depriving them of it. I think Splinter was the real genius here all along, guys. Did you know that Rise Splinter has canonically never celebrated the turtles' birthdays in the past? But it's okay, because now that Splinter has come to grips with who he really is, now he's ready to start being a father, when the turtles are already teenagers and on their way to adulthood. Splinter gets a coming-of-age story when he's already well into adulthood. I cannot make this up. Splinter is like the definition of too little too late. The damage is already done, and honestly, he's not even shown to really get better. Hey guys, remember the time when Splinter passed away in the 40th anniversary comics, and right before he kicks the bucket, he reveals the turtles have a brother and sister? Once again, I'm not even surprised at this point, but let me remind you that this means Splinter knew they had more siblings the whole time, and waited until only now on his deathbed to tell the turtles. And he dies before they can get any more information out of him. With his death, he's absolved of all responsibility, and all of it is forced on the turtles to navigate. Splinter acts like someone who was frozen in time the day his mom left him at like 5, and then just never grew past that age. It's like he literally doesn't have the mental capacity to function as an adult because he never developed the necessary skills to cope through life. He's forever that child throwing a tantrum because life is unfair. That's not someone worth looking up to. Yes, Splinter's character went on a journey, but fundamentally, neither him or his joke of a character arc was compelling enough to justify his lack of maturity and straight-up manipulative tendencies throughout the show.
Splinter, the ultimate deadbeat dad, doesn't even try and he drives me mad. When the chips are down and we need a hand, need an honest man, don't ask him.